A short introduction before we start to make it sure that we are recording this video with Riccardo Vivviani, and my name is Victor Ruban. I will make sure, but we are doing it in frame of the project Oral History for Dance Heritage, supported by Goethe-Institut Ukraine within the program of Resilience Fund 2025. And I'm happy to welcome Riccardo Vivviani, artist with and researcher with over 40 years of a background of experience and a lot of great things done for the last, I think, 10 or 15 years practicing and getting into the oral history, introducing this method into the realm of the dance heritage, working for the last 10 years at Pina Bausch Foundation, specifically on the oral history. We will try to reflect on recent experience. 2 weeks ago, Riccardo came to Kyiv for the intensive that we did together, intensive on oral history for the dance heritage. And I would be happy to introduce a bit of the experience that Riccardo had during this time coming to Ukraine. Welcome, Riccardo. We are recording this, me, Victor Ruban, being in Kyiv in the National University of Physical Culture and Sports of Ukraine, where I'm also teaching at the dance department. And Riccardo Vivviani is in Wuppertal currently in Germany.
My pleasure.
Just to start, I would like to ask you, even myself and introducing you, it's a bit challenging because of the really great and diverse background. But just to contextualize things for this interview, in relation to your work with the broader sense, can you, introducing yourself, tell what is the major focus for your work for the last 5 years?
Well, yeah, so my name is Ricardо Vivvianis. So we have this set up on the tape. So my name is Ricardо Vivviani. To talk about the focus of my work in the past 5 years, I have to go back to 15 years. I'm a dancer. That's my basic. I've been dancing since I was 18 years old professionally. So 15 years ago, that's when I decided to shift the focus of my work from production of content, dancing and choreographing, to this articulation of the knowledge from dance. For the first 5 years, I researched, I studied, and I formulated a pathway to approach this task. Then for the past 10 years, I was fortunate enough to crave a position inside the archives of a major player in the dance world, Pina Bausch. So parallel to that, I kept refining the workflow for the articulation of dance knowledge. I did this by giving talks in dance studies conferences and oral history conferences. And I also expand my work in oral history in the performing arts by creating interview documents for other archives, the Deutsche Tanzarchiv in Cologne, the Folkwang University of the Arts, family heritage also. And now we conducted some interviews 2 weeks ago in the Ukrainian dance praxis under martial law.
I think that this question would be very important and very interesting for many of people that were not part of our intensive, and even for those who were. What brought you to Kyiv, and what was the biggest motivator for you to take this trip? Because it's martial law, it's also, situation of the security and danger, physical danger indeed. So like what brought you?
Well, a mix of different motivations. During one of my visits to one of these dance conferences, gatherings, I met you, Victor Ruban. But also for Bureau Goethe in Berlin, I've been in contact with colleagues from the Balkans in Belgrade and Ljubljana, where I saw the immense potential of oral history in dance heritage to bind the cultural fabric of a region. I see them now, they're developing some of these oral history programs, but through you, I was brought to attention of the dance scene in Kiev and the Ukraine. And this opened a door to a work that could have even larger cultural impact. So that's what motivated me to endeavor this.
And like how the context of the war contributed to it, if anyhow, of course, like that because they, it's ongoing war because Belgrade, Ljubljana, it's something related to the past, so there is already time distance as well. Of course, the traces of it are still ongoing and it's still present in the culture scene and reflection on it. But in Ukraine, it's and reflection on the previous 10 or 11 already years because the war started in 2014. But the last 3.5 years, already 4 almost, it's a full-scale invasion that has specificity of being under air alert, under missile attack, drone attack, and everything. It's what's specific with that?
This context of this tragedy, that's this war of aggression, just brought even more to the surface the fragility of the cultural mesh. And that this cultural mesh fabric is carried by the actors, the people who work in it. I particularly like one concept from you of emergence. As I interpret this, emergence also in the word emergency, but in a different interpretation, I see it revealing and exposing the qualities and weaknesses of this mesh. And the work that I've been developing, oral history, serves to stabilize some of these connection points of this weave, this fabric of culture. It does not, unfortunately, reverse the tragedy of the loss of talents, but this ongoing harm makes it imperative to act immediately.
Mm-hmm. 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 And maybe could you tell about like your biggest challenge preparing to this trip? Because it's hard to prepare of coming to the war situation, but still, like, what was your biggest challenge that you were in your preparation?
But certainly for me and for many people, it's we never experienced anything like that. So maybe the people in the Balkans of the Yugoslav wars and some of our parents and grandparents. But still, one of the biggest challenge for preparing this trip to Ukraine was the lack of support of my inner circle. This lack of support fueled by fear and even a wish to submerge a reality that affects us all in the global community. I was born in Brazil, and I think it does affect all of us. So I had to ignore fear and be moved by my determination to contribute in what I can for some kind of stabilization or change.
Mm. And which was your biggest challenge in reality? Like maybe because this is very very crucial thing, and I think that many people coming to Ukraine, daring to come to Ukraine within these conditions, are also confronted or from the outside and or from the inside. And I'm grateful that you are articulating it. But also, yeah, like when you already arrived here, or even on your way to here, like what was your challenge here, being here, working here within this subtle topic also?
Challenge. Well, the biggest challenge for me was my body, actually, was the gruesome long trip, long hours in a train trip that just should take just a few hours from Germany to Kyiv. And this just took a toll of my stamina and my body. And then when we were there, the other challenge that was mitigated, that I was fortunate that we found in Karina Solka my ears and my voice to overcome the language barrier.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. And like, if to go closer to the matter of like the major focus of your trip of coming, what is the hardest thing working with the dance heritage from your experience in general, and like just to introduce also the oral history, especially with oral history in relation to the dance heritage?
So I'll get a little technical here, so bear with me. The hardest thing of working with dance heritage, contemporary dance heritage, is the time frame in which it must operate. So current dance heritage has to be described as it happens. The historical studies usually relies on written documents and closed processes. Oral tradition as opposed to oral history, just like dance, oral tradition is passed from one person to the next. And to create oral history, these people must be available to be interviewed. So oral history again helps to stabilize some of the knowledge that these people carry and making it possible to describe it as heritage, as lineages, as it happens. A further challenge in oral history is in this way that I've been doing, the relative complexity of the research necessary and the post-processing. We calculate for 1 hour of an interview, there are 60 hours of preparation and post-work.
Mm-hmm. 1 to 60.
So it becomes very expensive in man hours just to create this.
Mm-hmm. And like immersing into the context of Ukraine, was it your first time visiting Ukraine, right?
It was my very first time, yes.
And immersing in this context and also discovering Ukraine and historically and culturally, why do you think it's important to do that work in this historic period of time in Ukraine and in Europe, like if to broaden up the context, like in common and what's specific in each, maybe?
Well, oral history has the quality of talking to the small people,
Mm-hmm.
the people who are doing the work, not the most proeminent people who are connected to institutions and their work is well documented and well funded.
Mm-hmm.
And few of the innovations and few of these multiplicators, very few of these are these big figures And talking to the other multiplicators and teachers and dancers, all the people also doing the work, we can describe and connect all these lineages. So we're all connected in the dance world. There's no way to deny it. And the transnationality of this community is a very powerful link of humanity that indicates how we can overcome isolation and even radicalization. I knew very little about Ukrainian culture and Ukrainian dance. And this contribution is not widely recognized or known globally. So this richness that I now see and depth of the Ukrainian cultural experience, be it in folk dancing or in performing arts or your work with Bronislava Nijinsky, should be celebrated and described for the richness and depth that it has.
Mm-hmm. I would maybe also add to what you say, just to the broader audience who will see this video also, that because we were speaking a lot about this during our intensive also, that Ukraine, going through the Soviet period of time especially, had immense time of silencing or also perverting and history and cultural narrative, and a lot of the dance culture or choreographic culture that was developing during the time of 20th century is very moderated and very fragmented or disparted. And with what you say, especially in relation to the other countries during the time in between the world wars or also later within the Cold War context, this internationalization or international dimension of our work, of working in dance, can really help to fulfill those historical gaps that are really missing. And like even the dance history of Ukraine, you cannot buy it or to read it in Germany or in France, but you cannot buy it as a book or like some works also in Ukraine. So that's why I really agree with what you're saying, that this is also possibility to kind of fill the gaps of what we still can grasp through the stories of people that are still alive and that were working during the 20th century, or like the closest relatives to them, just to have at least the draft of the image of how the dance as an art form and the dance as a cultural practice or social practice were developing during the last century, basically. So yeah, this is also helping us to recover our ties and bonds with Europe, which was also very corrupted and disparted during the Soviet period, particularly. So yeah, thank you for this lineage, this concept of link of people to people to people. This was really, really precious to have. And like, what was your biggest impression or discovery during your stay in Ukraine? Maybe you can introduce that as well.
Well, that gets very personal for me in a sense, so because my short 1 week in Ukraine, my biggest surprise in the European continent was that there is a deep connection of the people that I met to forces of nature, elemental forces of nature. Maybe because I was just talking to other artists and people connected to dance, but when I observe the naive artist, one brooch that you gave me of folk artist Maria Primachensko, she connected a oniric, a dream world to to physical reality in a way that's that brings magic. And I realized how much this culture is also weaved in the fabric of the cultural memory of Ukraine. That was very surprising to me. This connection to primal elements. I'm Brazilian. We're also very connected to the elements of nature. So this connection creates an opening for metaphysical questions that can be raised and confronted in just a normal way, a holistic approach that in many other places just suppressed for another kind of research. That was one of my biggest personal impression in this short week.
Mm-hmm. And what about the discoveries? Like maybe you discovered something beyond that.
Well, more than discovered, I activated some things that I haven't been using for a while. It might sound a little out there, but it's the relationship with people, the relationship within a group, as we were a group inside a museum, and thanks to the museum to hosting us, this relationship became nearly a shamanic, a ritualistic process of discovering each other. I'll leave it at that at this point.
Okay. And like the distancing is a good, our natural mechanism that we have, like to look at things, to change the distance, but also within our thoughts and experiences. When we are distancing, it's helping us to, yeah, like to wider the image, the picture. But physical distancing is also something that sometimes brings more ideas or like kind of more clarity to some things. So what came clearly for you about this trip when you came back to Wuppertal? And even now, you know, we are on distance.
What became clear after this trip, what came to the surface again to talk about emergency, was that this work covers an overlooked aspect of culture, and we should go on doing it, and especially the way that we are proposing to do it. This work in Ukraine could be an example for many other places. It's unique.
Mm-hmm. And like, what are your next steps or like continuation of this trip for you that you would like to take or do in relation to the oral history for the heritage in Ukraine? Or maybe you have already some ideas or plans or wishes or dreams that you would like to introduce on camera and to the audience that will watch this.
I certainly do. I certainly, it was very important to be present there and not doing this on the distance. We did have one session before during a conference, and I did a contribution online, but being there, I was able to grasp, feel, and analyze the complexity, the scope, the urgency of this work, the different players, the different stakeholders, like the artists, the dancers, the choreographers, and the educators, the researchers, be it artistic research or historical or sociological or other kinds of researches, even the press, and very importantly, the cultural institutions. Under the acronym GLAM, we call galleries, libraries, archives, museums, all of these people have different goals and different missions. And in their competence, they should all be involved in the work, also because of the complexity. And to achieve what we propose to do in the shortest amount of time, each of these actors, even each one of these stakeholders, should be giving like very specific protocols, trainings for the needs and for their own goals, in a way to contribute to a bigger picture. So if we are able to develop affordable, sustainable tools to contribute to this community effort to document, describe, save, and activate this Ukrainian dance heritage, that would be our goal. And I think like we already started in that sense and gave an overview of the basics of what this work entails.
Mm-hmm. On my end, as a curator of this project, I would add that we are still collecting essays and plans of the participants of our intensive. We expected to have 16 of them, but in reality we had 22. So we will receive at least a range of 22 different activities or thoughts or ideas of continue. And we will share it very soon during our press conference. So yeah, like we just started this process, and we really look forward for Riccardo to be a significant part and contributor to it. Stay with us on that journey of setting it up, because yeah, the scale of things undocumented, undiscovered, or even untraced is huge, is immense. And it's a lot of work to be done in Ukraine, physically on site, and not only in Ukraine, but also abroad with Ukrainians that are abroad. To conclude, to finalize this like very short interview reflection, we'll have more, hopefully we'll have more of that, and also things reflected in our article that we are working on together. But beyond that, like, what would you like to say or to add from what we didn't speak about yet?
Well, I suppose it's another personal observation or motivator that I have that's connected to this tragedy of a war. Well, one of the saddest realization that I made during this week is that most of the people that I met avoided to talk about the future. Every time I brought something that had future within, implicit or explicit, it sort of drifted out to somewhere else, the conversation. All people but one. And this one 20-year-old dancer told words that could also come from my 65-year-old self. I don't know how long I will live. I know I want to dance as long as I live.
Yeah, that's the reality. That's the reality. And yeah, thank you for this conclusion. I hope that it will be reaching out further on and to your colleagues, maybe to encourage someone to come and discover more about Ukraine, because it's not safe completely, but it's possible. And you always can consider the ways how to navigate within this context and still discover yeah, also very deep and rich and beautiful things here that are happening under those conditions. And I want to thank you for and courage and your openness and your really a curiosity with which you approach this trip. And I really look forward for continuation of this because it's still so much of things that we can do together, and for oral history and for the dance heritage in Ukraine. And I'm really looking forward for that.
I thank you for receiving and welcoming me there. And I thank all the people who were involved, and also the institutions, Goethe-Institut, the museum, and your institution. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And you will find this video on our channel of Impulse Transformation Platform, who is organizer of this project, Oral History for Dance Heritage. And we will create also like specific playlist where we'll be placing the rest of the videos related and linked to that. And if you are really curious to not only know more about this topic, about this initiative as a part of Tanzplan Ukraine as well, on mapping and developing the dance heritage and ways of documenting and archiving and reflecting on the dance heritage. And if you want also to join the team of researchers, of institutions, don't hesitate to write us, to drop a line and articulate that so you can join. Thank you so much. And yeah, we are looking forward for the next videos also and next initiatives and projects here. Thank you.